Bob Richards here, another series episode of Two Skillets. So what we're doing today is we are going to make a pan-seared crab cake, not your ordinary crab cake. It's going to be a Kataifi wrap crab cake with the Texas Remoulade sauce that is by far the best that you will ever taste. Even from the people up in Maryland, there's no way that it's just hands down the best. All right, little Texas flavors that I add to it to make it, of course, from Texas. So I do need to give a special shout out to Ava Craft that supplied all their cookware, and hands down, everything that I've used, I love it to death. You can check them out at Amazon.com, Ava Craft. So we have a lot of utensils that we're using, so as I use them, I'll let you know about them. So basically what we're going to start off with is the stuffing itself. And I don't use any egg product. I think egg product, when you make a crab cake, it almost makes it tougher. I want this, as soon as you put your fork through it, it's going to just be easy to cut through it, so to speak. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. So I'm going to heat up the pan, and I like to get it nice, pretty toasty, obviously. So I'm going to put a little oil into the pan. All right. Now, when you're adding the olive oil to the pan, basically what you are looking for is, the best way that I could say is, it needs to look like water in the pan, that you put some water in the bottom of the pan and it's going to flow evenly through it. I don't know if you've ever put olive oil in a cold pan, how long it takes to get to the other side. Well, to know that this is ready to go, the oil is freely moving around. So that way I know the pan's ready to go, and it also starts to separate and it might start smoking. So with everything that I use, I've got everything chopped up. I got it in a small dice. I have my white onions that I'm adding to it. I'm gonna let that saute a little bit, and I'm gonna go ahead and add my minced garlic. Just garlic minced. I'm sorry, hands down, it's probably the best, one of the best ingredients I love to use all the time. So I'm going to stir that around. So basically the definition of saute, if you haven't watched any of the other series, the definition for saute is to jump, because that's basically what it's doing inside the pan. You just stir this around. I get it coated pretty well. Now I'm going to saute this for about probably 2 to 3 minutes till it starts to get a little bit translucent. That's when you know when the onions start to kind of get a little clear on the outside. That is when you know that the onions are ready to go for the next step. So that next step is we're going to put all the bell peppers added to it. And I love summertime. Summertime is just everything is coming back in season. The onion sauteing, so I'm going to go ahead and add my golden bell peppers, the red bell peppers, poblanos. So what's the beauty of this is, all this is going into the remoulade sauce too, as well, the green bell peppers. So I'm going to give this a very quick saute too as well. Now what I'm going to do is, basically I'm going to cook these till they get soft enough to where you're not going to notice anything raw in the first bite that you take of that crab cake. And I'm telling you, hands down, the crab cake is the absolute bomb. So the story behind the crab cake. So I've been cooking for about probably 30 years as a chef. Let's say about 15, 16 years. You know, I was cooking at a restaurant, and we were coming up with different menu techniques, or just different stuff for the menu itself. And I wanted to do this I don't know, this different appetizer using shrimp. Well, the shrimp turned into, it wouldn't work. And it didn't come out the way, it didn't look good on the plate. So I went home and I was like, wow, what am I doing? So went back, did the same thing over and over again. The next day, nothing coming out. So I started getting hungry, and I had crab. I got sick of doing just regular crab cakes. Lo and behold, I had Kataifi, and I'll get into this a little bit later. Kataifi, which is a shredded phyllo dough. It was sitting beside the crab, got onto the crab cake, threw it in a saute pan, boom, the rest is history. So I have done many competitions, and I've entered this. I entered it into the World Food Championship, and I won. I won the People's Choice Awards by a landslide, and it was pretty awesome. And I have had two presidents of the United States. I had Bush and Clinton. They actually got to eat this. We did small little samples, and they loved it too as well. And I love making it. It's just a long history of just some of the things that I've done in my life, and I'm pretty proud of it. So anyway, so we got this sauteing. It's pretty much ready to go. So I'm gonna add salt, some pepper, and I'm just gonna saute this a little bit more. Now, I don't want it cooked totally all the way because I don't want it mushy. So what we're gonna do then is I'm gonna take it, put it onto the sheet tray. Man, this is a great pot. Heats up quick. Gosh. I am definitely going to go to Amazon and pick this up. So what you want to do is you can put parchment paper down. That way you don't have to clean it too much. Now I'm going to spread this out on the sheet tray. The reason being is because I want it to cool faster. I'm going to put this into the refrigerator for about probably, let's say maybe 10-15 minutes, just until it gets cold. It needs to get down to 70 degrees in roughly 2 hours. So if I'm making a huge amount, I need to make sure it's cooked down or it's brought down in temperature in 2 hours, just for sanitation reasons. So originally I'm from Jackson, Mississippi. I moved to Dallas when I was probably about 10. So being from Mississippi, Southern, go down to New Orleans all the time. I grew up on Justin Wilson. I guarantee, I mean, that was life. My dad used to be a travel salesman. He owned his own company, and he'd go down to New Orleans all the time. We'd get to go sometime, and we lived pretty close to that great city. And that's where my love affair of food came in. My first time to go to Commander's Palace, I will never forget it. I was probably maybe 6, and that really kind of, had I known then that I would be in a restaurant business, I mean, that's hands down probably one of the best experiences of my life. And that's the first time that I had grits, and I've never had grits cooked the same way. Even I can't do it as well as they do it at Commander's. Anyway, so you start this. So the sauce is basically going to be the base of the crab cake. All right, so it's also going to be the remoulade sauce that we're going to put over the crab cake too as well. So I'm going to add mayonnaise, and this is probably about, I don't know, let's say 4 cups. And you might say, man, dude, that's a lot going in that. I'm like, well, I like to make sure that I have enough, because I don't want to remake this again in about 10 minutes. If you guys understand what I mean. So the next thing, when you guys are cooking, you also need an acid. So Dijon mustard is a great acid. Right, so the acid is going to cut through your palate, to where all the seasonings that you put into it, all your hard work and soul that you put into it, you're going to be able to taste it. So the next time that you ever cook anything and you cannot taste it and taste bland, add a little bit of lime juice, lemon juice, anything, any kind of acid, vinegar, what have you, squeeze it in there. I promise it's going to change the world of what you're trying to do before you keep adding the salt and pepper. I promise. Let's do a 1/4 cup of Dijon mustard. 1/4. So when you use capers, I just go ahead and all you have to do with these is you're going to mash them just with a knife. and they're very, very easy to work with. But this here again is that acid that I was talking to you about, the mayonnaise coating the tongue. This is going to help with the taste. When you're trying to get that extra level put into your cooking. So, got that. I have a mixture of different spices right here. Now, I've got cumin, chili powder, Cajun seasoning. You can use other Cajun seasoning, stuff like that you can find at the store. I also have cayenne and paprika. So, being from Texas, cumin is one of the seeds from the cilantro plant. We're also going to add cilantro instead of parsley. So that's the reason why I'm adding cumin. So I'm going to mix this up. Now, after I mix it up, instead of using the scraper, I'm going to use a whisk, and I'm going to probably put, say, like a tablespoon of cumin. I love cumin. And then chili powder, probably about quarter teaspoon. Teaspoon of Cajun spice. Cayenne, a teaspoon. And a teaspoon of paprika. All right, you might think that's a lot, but I promise it will not be that bad, because you got to think of also everything else that you're putting in there with the crab. The crab's got a lot of water, stuff like that. So think about this while you cook. So salt and pepper. A lot of people forget the salt and pepper. They think about all these other spices, and they forget the most important chef ingredient is salt and pepper, I promise. All these new cooks, it's funny, it might taste spicy, it might taste great. Well, somewhat great, but they don't have enough salt and pepper in it. And it's kind of funny, but it's a process of learning as a new chef. So that acid I was telling you, it sounds like we're putting a lot into it. Well, we kind of are, but I want to kind of counterbalance everything. I want all these flavors when you cook. When you cook, you need to tell a story, and I keep saying this, and it's the truth, because a chef is trying to tell a story about his food, about the reason why he's cooking it. And I want you to know where I came from, what it's about. When I cook, it's about my life. Comedians tell jokes about their lives. Singers and songwriters, they write about their lives. Well, cooks, I think, write about their lives in food, so you can taste it, smell it, know where we're coming from. You can tell when we're mad, when we're sad, what have you. That's what food means to me. All right, long story short, so the lime. I'll try and squeeze as much as I can out of it. So you can squeeze it. So now I'm going to whisk all of the spices, everything together. We're going to set this in the cooler. Really cool. Got a lid attachment that goes up on top of it, so you can stack anything else that you need. The crab. So this one, I always get them confused when I'm looking for crab. So you got 4 or 5 different kinds of crab. I like, this one is the Colossal. It's a bigger part of the crab. I like it meaty. I want something that you're going to be able to sink your teeth into, something that's going to wow your guest or wow you. So we're going to break this up a little bit. Now, the important thing also, the reason why I get this size is, I'm going to be honest, I don't like to pick through it too much. And when I get the Colossal, I'm not really having to pick it too much, because the shell is not crushed when it's being processed. And I haven't really ever had any issues with it.
in the past, and I don't see any shells. I don't feel any. So always kind of just give it a once over. But I've never had any problems with the Colossal. We've got the Remoulade sauce. We're about to make the crab cake itself. We have cilantro. I love cilantro. People either like it or don't. So if you don't like it, you can get parsley. You can get flat leaf parsley. I won't hate you, but I get it. Some people say it tastes a little like soap. So I am chopping this up. I'm not going to use a whole lot because I want to use it as a garnish too as well. So I'm going to set this back off to the side. And you're just basically, the cut is called chiffonade. I wouldn't say that this is actually a chiffonade, but you're cutting it thin. All right. So a chiffonade is basically you're cutting. You could cut layered basil. You could roll it up, stack it up, roll it up, and chop it fine, or yeah, I guess chop it fine. And that will, you got to use a very sharp knife, because if you don't, it will turn brown. But a chiffonade is actually the type of cut, and also cutting leafy green vegetables. All right, so set this off to the side. When you're making crab cakes, the two number one ingredients is this baby right here. So what we're going to do is we're just going to mash it. So that way I'm not having to work too hard, make too much of a mess, and do it like when you were a kid. So I'm going to put just a little bit because I don't want to put too much. The secret behind cooking is add just enough. Don't over add because it's harder to fix it. All right, it's not cooking or not baking. The next best thing in the world, Old Bay. This is it right here. Old Bay is the second secret ingredient besides the buttery Ritz crackers. So you're going to add probably about, I'd say a teaspoon. That's the little salty kick at the end. That's the reason why you got to watch how much salt you put into it. Now we're going to start mixing the crab cake or crab meat up with the Remoulade sauce. But I wanted to talk about Kataifi. I was introduced to this, let's say probably 12, 13 years ago. And you know, throughout the store I'd see it, stuff like that, but I never really used it until the story that I told you earlier. So Kataifi is a shredded phyllo dough. And it makes everything lighter, as much as, and I wanted, so the original story behind it also as well is, I wanted something different. I wanted to do a crab cake a different way, because everybody's doing pan-seared with panko, breading it. I'm sick of doing it. I can't tell you how many crab cakes I've made in my life that I'm tired of it. So I wanted to do something completely different that I haven't seen anybody do it. And every time I do it, the wow factor is there, and that's exactly what I want, man. I want you to go, oh my God, this crab cake that I just had is it! So, hence the reason why I came up with it. So, the shredded phyllo dough looks like spaghetti or angel hair pasta. And it is just a really, really cool, and it tastes amazing. Anyway, so before we get crazy with this, I'm going to finish the crab. So I'm going to take the Remoulade sauce out of the cooler. I'm going to remember that I can't use it all. Get my rubber spatula. And I am going to put some of this unbelievable Remoulade sauce. It's going to make the thing taste amazing. Alright, so I have enough, hopefully, and I don't want to break up my crab. I want to keep it as whole as I can. So I'm going to fold everything into it. Alright, so the next step, I'm going to go ahead and add the bell peppers to it. Oh, I'm going to be honest, these things look amazing. So, I am just going to add them to the bowl. And this adds just a little bit more of that story to the crab cakes themselves. All right. Set this off to the side. And then you just fold it in long enough to where you don't want to beat up or keep the crab itself whole as much as you can. All right. Now we're going to wrap it with the Kataifi. So you're gonna kind of work a little quick with the Kataifi. And I don't want to pull it too much because I don't want to break it. I'll just go ahead and I lay it out. This is it. I don't have to bread it, nothing. It's so exciting. All right, so where's my scoop? So when I do any kind of crab cakes or anything, I get the biggest scoop that I can find. And I'm gonna go ahead and get these daddies ready. So scoop it, scrape it off to the side, just like this. I'm gonna put that bad boy right here. And when you do it, you gotta say bad boy. Anyway, I'm going to then just wrap it just like this. People are gonna think you're a rock star, man. More so than what you already are. You know that. So I don't want too much, so I start pulling some of it off. And I'm gonna form it. And it looks like a big old blob of nothing. But there's a lot of love inside that right there. That looks cool, right? All right, so I'm gonna set this off to the side. I'm gonna make one more. I'm so excited to show you this. All right, so I think I might have enough to do one more. Because this is a crab cake. Oh, bad boy. You remember that? All right, so stick it on there, wrap that daddy up. And there you go. All right, this is so cool. So the beauty of this is, what I like to do is sear it and throw it in the oven. All right. So remember the rule that I told you about heating your saute pan up, or any kind of pan for that matter. Your oil. Now I add a little bit more than what I normally do, just because I'm pan searing it. All right, coat the bottom. Now I'm gonna let this kind of get a little hotter. And these pans from AvaCraft are just amazing. They're lightweight. They heat up quickly from what I'm understanding also, or from what I see. And it's induction. If you got an induction at home, this is a great pan to have. All the series that we've done so far, I mean, they're just a cool pan. I'm gonna be honest. You can pick those up at Amazon.com. And they're fantastic pans. I think you're gonna like them. All right, so I'm gonna heat this up just a little bit. I'm looking to get it to where it's almost smoking. So anyway, we're gonna get this seared, and I'm just gonna place this whole thing in the pan. You hear it? That's nothing but love right there. So you're not gonna do this for very long because the Kataifi will burn pretty easy, but you want a nice golden color on it. And the reason being is because when you put that on the plate, you want your guests to go, holy moly, that looks fantastic. And I think they'll say probably a little bit more than that, but that's a good thing, I guess. So I have a rubber spatula, and how you can tell that this is pretty much almost ready to go is on the very, very outside is where it starts to get a little darker. So I'm gonna pick it up and flip it. And be careful because of the oil. There we go. That's it right there. Look at that bad boy. I can't wait. Can't wait. All right. So we're gonna throw this in a 350-degree oven for about 10 to 12 minutes. I don't wanna go any further than that because I don't want it to burn. All right, so we just got the crab cake out of the oven and it was sitting at 350, so we cooked it probably about 12 minutes. The biggest thing is as long as it's hot, you're heating the core inside, and that's basically what you want because you don't really have to worry about cooking anything else. All right, so the plate up. Plate up is going to be very, very simple. I want to add more texture to the actual dish. I'm going to use it as a garnish. So I'm going to slice the tomato, better than that. Put this off to the side. These are actually hot house tomatoes, and what that means is basically it was done in a greenhouse. All right, so I don't know if you can see this. This line right here, I'm going to cut all the way around it. And I don't want the inside or the seeds that is going to be in that dice. Does that make sense? Hopefully. So I'm going to cut the tomato around, and I'm going to walk the tomato around. Take it. You can use this for any salsa, stuff like that you would want to use. Then I'm going to take some of the membrane out along with the seeds. You can use that too, to where you are left with the skin. All right, and there's no pulp. So I cut this bad boy in half, and I'm going to use this as my garnish. Now I'm going to slice this first, or julienne, and then I'm going to dice it a small dice. All right, and boom, bada bing. So we're going to start plating. So going to do this in a circle. Going to do a straight line, kind of break it up. The red bell pepper. The cilantro pesto. Ha! Love it. I love how it gets put on the plate, and then once it starts, everything inside it just starts to spread out because of the olive oil. Oh, it's just so awesome. I love it to death. All right, the spoon you just need a little bit, and it's more for that acid part. Okay. There's not any rhyme, right, wrong way of putting it on there. Set that off to the side. All right. So pretty cool looking plate, right? Because you want your guests eat with your eyes first, right? And you got to remember your pan just came out of the oven, so that sucker is going to be hot. Set this here. You're going to pick this up. Now I'm only going to do one on this plate, and I'm going to set it off to this side, right here. Now you can do two. I don't want to crowd the plate. It's all about the presentation, right? Now my remoulade sauce. Grab my spoon. I'm going to set this sucker right over the top. Now you can put some on the bottom. It's really what your preference is. Put it on there. I want it to fall gradually. I want it to fall wherever it's going to fall, because I will not pick up anything that fell on the plate. It's there forever, unless it's on the side of the rim. All right. So now, grab my cilantro. I'll put this off to the side right here. Now the tomato. Set it right over the top, spread it on the plate, and there you go. Pan-seared crab cake wrapped with Kataifi and spiced Texas remoulade sauce. This is something that you want made, or if you want me to come and make it for you, make sure you look up Two Skillets, look at what we can do, look at some of the menus that we have online, and I would love to talk to you about it and come out and make this for you and or your guests. It could be 2,000 to 3,000 people. It's your party. Let Two Skillets be part of it.